Hello everyone. In this video, we'll explore how the sequence activity works in BIZUIT Designer, and how its capability for localized error handling enhances flexibility and control within processes. Through a practical example, we'll observe how activities are executed inside a sequence, and compare how error trapping behaves both at the global process level and within the sequence itself. We will start by configuring a sequence activity in which we will place two SQL activities, both properly configured. The first query will retrieve data from the customer's table. The second query will retrieve data from the orders table. Outside the sequence, we'll place a third SQL activity configured to query the employees table. This setup will let us observe how the flow continues after the sequence, as long as no errors occur. Next, we'll set a breakpoint in the sequence to run the process step by step. When starting the execution, we'll see how both SQL activities inside the sequence are processed correctly. And then the third SQL activity runs without issues. Now we'll force an error by removing the second SQL activity within the sequence. And replacing it with an unconfigured activity. This change will generate an exception during execution. When running the process step by step, we'll see that without an error handler, the flow stops abruptly when the faulty activity is processed. This happens because the exception is not being handled. Next, we'll add an error handler at the process level, which is a general mechanism to catch exceptions across the entire flow. We'll configure it to catch exceptions of type system exception. We'll also use the system parameter exception parameter to display the error message. Now we'll run the process again step by step. This time, when the error occurs inside the sequence, the general handler will catch the exception, and we'll be able to inspect the exception parameter with the error details. However, we'll notice that the third SQL activity, located outside the sequence, won't execute. That's because the process-level error handler stops the flow entirely, just like a global try-catch would. We'll now configure an error handler within the sequence activity. This handler will also catch exceptions of type system exception. When an error occurs inside the sequence, we'll display the exception message using the exception parameter. We'll run the process once more, step by step. This time, the error will be caught locally by the handler within the sequence. We'll see that the flow continues as expected, and the third SQL activity outside the sequence runs without interruption. This demonstrates how localized error handling within the sequence gives you finer control and keeps isolated issues from impacting the rest of the process. In this video, we demonstrated how the sequence activity not only organizes activities in a logical order, but also enables localized error handling. Unlike error handling at the process level, which halts the entire execution, error handling within a sequence lets you catch exceptions in a specific scope and continue the flow, enhancing the flexibility and control of the process. Thank you for joining us for this demonstration. We hope this example helps you effectively apply the sequence activity and its error handling capabilities in your own flows. See you in the next video.